And I'm rolling. I've never done this by myself, so it's kind of weird to say I'm rolling. But hello, Kathy. Hello, Chris. Hello, anybody that's out there. Um, I have been wanting to do this for a really long time. And thanks to Jacob Israel. So shout out to Jacob. Um, I had to get it ready for a show that he and I did on games. And I absolutely loved doing it, and it was really fun. And while we were talking, I gave someone a gentle answer, and he was like, "You've got to do this. People got to call in and just chat with you." And so I don't have the call in on yet. It's on Do Not Disturb. I wanted to cover a few things, and of course, thank Jacob. I've got the number in the chat. I do have a little bit of rules. If you don't have a specific question for me, I'm going to hang up on you. If you are not answering me or being weird, I'm going to hang up on you. It's like going to be super easy for me to do that. I have no issues with it. So try to call prepared and have something that you really want. And if no one calls, because I'm ready for that too, because Jacob and I sat there for a while last time, people got the nerve up to call. And I know that a lot of people don't want to call in and say their names. You don't have to say your name. You can just call in with whatever issue. The goal of this is to be something uplifting to people, because the world has become the land of the dead lately. And there's just so many crazy things going on. And I'm just ready to put something out there to like lift people up. And it is something that is fun for me to do. And I guess before I start that, I want to share where I got the upcycle thing. I've always been fascinated with upcycling. I think it's so cool. I think when somebody takes something that someone else is going to throw away and they turn it into something beautiful. And I'll never forget the first time I saw one. Somebody took a Grey Goose bottle, and they turned it into a beautiful glass. And I was just amazed. And so the reason I'm very interested in upcycling, I think, is because as a kid, and not too much of a kid, but I was 13, 14 years old when my mom got cancer. And one of the things that was really, really difficult to do is to be the happy person in the room when really sad things were going on. And when you practice it for 10 years, because my mom didn't die until I was 23, 24. I don't know the exact dates. And so when you practice it for 10 years, you get good at it. You get good at bringing the best and having a really good attitude most of the time. And it's so important right now. And so, God, I'm kind of emotional about it. Anyway, I wanted to read to you what the actual definition of upcycling is. And I really like this concept because I think of so many cheerful, beautiful, angelic humans that there are out there that really do make people's days. And those are the people we should be giving more attention to. But anyway, to upcycle is to recycle something in such a way that the resulting product is of higher value than the original item, to create an object of greater value from discarded objects or lesser value. And so when my mom had cancer, I kind of did that in an emotional or spiritual way. And I got good at it. You know, I'm that person that can cheer people up. I'm that person that can be a vault and not tell people's secrets. And because of that, I've just become kind of an expert at helping people look at things from a different perspective. And so I already covered the rules. I thank Jacob. I told you what upcycling was. The number is in the, it's on the banner that's trailing there. It's not on yet. And it's also in the live chat. And I definitely would like to see people active in that. This isn't supposed to be about me. This is about bringing people up. This is about, you know, taking somebody's call and making it better. And so I just thought I'd give you an example of it. I think that a lot of times when people have problems, their biggest problem is that they have a blind spot in their own mind. And so when people call for help, they're unable to separate the light from the dark because they can't see their own darkness. And so, like yesterday, I was looking at this thing on Twitter. I love Twitter, and it was a video of a woman sewing a tracer or a tracker onto her husband or boyfriend's or whoever's shoe. And I was just like, gosh, I would love to talk to her. I used to be her. I used to be the person who was the good one in a relationship that dates someone who isn't, and you become like them. And so what I would love to tell her is that she literally she's becoming dark by not trusting him, by not being in that space. And let me tell you, if you're to the point of sewing somebody's shoes up, you are for sure not in a right relationship. That you should feel so safe in a relationship. And if somebody does not make you feel safe in any way that feels good for your heart, then they're not a match for you. And the best thing you could do is let them move on, and then maybe even teach them a lesson. You can't treat people like that. That's just not going to happen. And so anyway, I love to be able to share things like that with people. And I love to give people strength, because a lot of people actually have the strength, but they don't have the authority and they don't have the power to use it because they haven't practiced it. And one of the best things you can do to practice it is to actually say no to people. But I also, if nobody calls, it's cool. But I am gonna turn it on. And then if for some reason people don't call, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions here that I got in my DMs. So I can share some thoughts on those as well. And then I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to cover before. Just don't forget, don't call in without a specific question. And I don't want it to, the only thing is nothing political. Like, let it be about relationships, narcissists, your neighborhood, anything but politics. All right, so I'm going to put the do not disturb sign off. Let's see. Okay, so whoever calls first is who I'm taking. And if no one calls, like I said, we'll just leave it at that. I will start going through some other stuff. But thanks for anyone that's here. And I really hope people call. It will ask you your name. You don't say your real name. Just say whatever name you want to say. And I like hearing about people's dreams. I like talking about anything. So y'all are good to go for whoever calls in. And again, it's 214-494-9381. And hopefully it's working. I did test it earlier. I had my son do a fake call in so that we could see if it worked. And thank you, Melissa, for thanking me for being positive. Hi, Valencia. I love seeing you here. She and I are on the regular in Abednego Lou Files chats. He is, I think, an amazing person who he tells the truth with love. And that's probably my 2 favorite things combined. He is he's not a minister. He is just someone that loves the Lord. And he is on YouTube on the regular. And everything he shares is so beautiful. And he does deliverance for people. And he is so cool. And he takes a lot of crap for exposing people, but he doesn't ever expose somebody just to be ugly. He's always super kind about it. I've never seen anybody so gentle about, giving the truth. He's not brutal. And so I thought that was really cool. And so I was just going to share that. Okay, nobody's calling. So I'm going to go ahead and share something. Oh, also, If you're in the live chat in YouTube, I can see you. And if you want to post a question there because you don't want to call in, we can do that as well. So yes, and thank you, Brian. Can we get some thumbs up? That would be awesome. I would appreciate that. And thank you, Valencia. Isn't he cool? And he's been taking some stuff. As a matter of fact, I posted a comment on some of his, and somebody who had a fake account of his was basically saying, "Hey, I'm seeing something over you." You know, and somebody that's not really good at YouTube would think it was fake. Like, he literally was telling me all these things were wrong with me, and how if I give money to him, then he'll, you know, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I have to report this to him because this is horrifying. There's some people out there that will do anything. Yes, Chris Frazier, we are rolling. I hope I said your name right. Anybody have any questions? We got lots of people here. Surely somebody has something they want to upgrade or upcycle or talk about. And like I said, you don't have to call. If no one calls, no one calls. The hotline is open. And anyone that's on Twitter, you're welcome to come on over to YouTube where you can chat. I'm not seeing anything on Twitter. I'm not that good. I can't do two things at once, or at least YouTube where you can chat. Sorry about that. A little delay. I was just trying to see if we have enough people coming in. It looks like there's like almost 300 people here overall, so that includes Twitter. But not seeing how many people we have in the live yet. Oh, here it is. I just don't want to have that going off again. Okay, so there's only 18 people in the Twitter. Everybody on YouTube. Everybody's from Twitter. Hey, everybody. I would never have thought that. Thanks for coming. If any of you are willing and able and have questions or want to share something and don't want to call in, please come on over to YouTube. And so I'll do some questions that came in from my DMs. All right. The first one was, I'm really pissed at my boyfriend right now. He's as mean as a weasel, which, quite frankly, I know how mean weasels are. When he drinks too much, how do I get him to stop? And I'm not sure if she's wanting to stop him from being mean or if she's wanting to stop him from drinking too much. Hopefully both, but neither one of them's her job to do. And so I think this is a huge issue, especially for younger people. They think they can change someone. And I would even say older people get stuck in a rut and they think that they can change someone, and they do it for years and it never happens. But one thing I'll say is usually when people are drinking, they're telling you what's really in their heart. And so what it says to me is this man has a lot of anger or suppression, and he is blowing off steam when he's drinking, which is really sad, but it's something that a lot of us do. And so if he can get to a place where he can figure that out, and one of the best ways is having someone break up with you. And I would advise anyone that has somebody that's drinking too much and then being as mean as a weasel. And Kathy, I've heard badgers are worse. Yes. We actually, when we lived in Colorado, we had a baby ermine in our house, and it was beautiful. It was white and it had huge eyes. And when we finally caught that thing, it was so mean. But anyway, mean as a weasel is mean. And no matter how, so first of all, you've got two different things there. First, you've got the drinking problem, because if somebody drinks to excess, that they're doing it for a reason, that they're not happy and they're trying to cope. And I wouldn't criticize them for that, but I would make sure that they understand it's their problem, not your problem. And so you could decide to break up with him and force him to see his problem, or he'll go find somebody that doesn't care, or you could, have a little break from him so that he could have some more time to think about it. Also, the mean piece is, unfortunately, that's kind of a habit. I have seen very, very angry people able to tame the beast, is what I call it. It does take a lot of self-awareness, and it takes a lot of desire to be able to sort through all of the pain that you've been through, or the things that happened to you in childhood. And sometimes people don't even know. I had a guy who I worked with who literally called me fuming. It was like only the second time I ever talked to him as a client on the phone. And I thought he was mad at me. I was like, oh my gosh, what the hell? And I was like, my mind was kind of really like, what did I do wrong? But he was walking around a building in Dallas, fuming because of some board meeting. But he was proud of himself because it was the first time that he actually left instead of screaming at everybody in the meeting. And so, he was, one, calling because he was trying to come down from it, but two, he was also calling for help. And for somebody like that, when somebody has so much anger that they can't even control it, they at that point in time think it's okay to just discharge. And I think once they learn it's not okay to discharge just wherever you are, it's like having, bad breath or stinking and never showering. Like, people don't want to be around that. And so one of the things that we did is we worked with him on how to recognize when his anger was coming up, and then also how to be okay with the fact that he's angry and that it is just an indicator for something that's actually going on inside of him. And a lot of times, and this is where I separate myself from the people that get mad at somebody that, oh, you're so emotional. I mean, emotions are it. That's it. That's how we know where we are. It's the pure compass. And so, yes, men rage. And it is an indicator that there's deeper frustrations. And then a lot of times it could be that they don't like their job, or they're frustrated with their position in life, or, whatever. And so it's just kind of nice to find a guy who has that kind of intensity and knows really what he wants, but he just doesn't know how to express it yet. And so I would say, if I'm her, I would definitely take a step back and see if he grows up. And, this is something that I actually hope for all people. And anytime I work with somebody, I have a call. Hold on one second while I go check it out. Hopefully it's not a troll. Oh, there it is.
Call from the awesome one.
Okay, I can't.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
All right, I'll finish the story in a minute. Hello, are you there?
I'm sorry, did I cut your story off?
Do I know this person?
No, my name is Shaniqua Jackson, and I have a problem I want to call in.
Oh my gosh, it's so crazy.
Woman.
I had a premonition that you would call. Shaniqua.
No way.
I totally did. It's so funny. I was like, she's so nice. I bet she'll call just because she's so sweet. I won't say who you are.
I
bet people recognize your voice that know you.
Of course. I can never hide my voice, right?
So are you sad about anything? Can we upcycle you in any way?
Am I low? Is my voice low?
No, you sound great. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't hear what you said. What did you say?
Oh, I was saying, can we upcycle you in any way? Is there anything we can chat about? Is there some area of your life that you have a question?
Believe it or not, I was calling to flirt with you, but then while I was listening to your story, I was like, you know what? I do have something I want to share with her.
Okay.
So I do have something I want to share, right? So I have, well, I was given a gift certificate for a personal trainer, right? And I normally don't need one. But this is the one I was trying to like, they said he was a hardcore guy. He was like, no nonsense. He was like, he'll like if you try to give any kind of excuse, saying he'll like get into your guts real bad. And so I respond to that, right? And so I'm trying to get my muscular body back. And everything was going great. And then I started to, this happened about a month ago. I started to sabotage. And I do this whenever I'm getting close to my goals. When I start to see definition, yeah, I do a sabotage. This happens every time, right? And so I told him about it. And he said, oh, don't be so hard on yourself. This stuff happens every day. You got to sometimes give yourself a break.
And I say, no, Grace. Be committed
so
or nothing.
Angry. I'm so mad, right? And like my friend who gave me the gift certificate, she's mad at me. She's like, oh my God, like Tree, why do you have to be so hardcore? But it's like, okay, so now I'm taking a look at myself and saying, okay, was I wrong? No, of course I wasn't wrong. Thing about it is I don't respond to being babied when it comes to working out, right? You can't baby me. I need a drill sergeant. I don't need somebody who's understanding. And she says that's so extreme and unresolved. And by the way, I love her. So maybe I'm self-reflecting. But I pushed it in the back of my head. So as I was talking to you, I was like, well, you know what? Let me share this with you.
It's awesome. But I agree with you. I think that if you've hired somebody to be the badass in your life, then you want them to show up the way you've hired them. Also, just think that I don't believe in self-sabotaging personally. I think that when people do that, it's an excuse. And I'm not saying that I'm judging you for it. I'm just saying, like, how committed are you?
No, judge me, girl.
How
Judge me. Stop putting some sugar on it, okay? Judge me, okay? Yeah, okay. It's an excuse. I got it. You're right. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's like you just have to question your commitment level. Where are you? And then why does the commitment level change as you get closer? And it could be really simple. It could be as simple as, you know what, it's enough. And that's my cop out. I don't know. Only you would know. But I do think that when a friend gives you a gift, you just are thankful for it.
Yeah. Because I fired her gift, she's a little mad. And I care about her, man. I care about her so much. Oh, it's like, but I don't want this guy no more, right? So it's because I have like 3 more months on the damn thing, right?
Well, you can also train him to be the way you want him to be, because you've hired him, and you can just ask him. You can just say, hey, I was disappointed, because I think a lot of times people don't communicate properly. And so you just say, hey, I was disappointed because I heard you were like the militant like guy that's going to get me to the end, because I don't want to sabotage.
Right.
And this is what I need you to do. I need you to show up like that guy. Can you do it? Let him answer.
Yeah. You know what? I have a problem telling people what I want. If they're not what I want them to be, I'm on to the next one. So that is a problem.
Relationships. I agree with that in relationships.
Well, yeah.
But I think when you hire somebody, you can give them a chance to be that. And you can also, a lot of times that's how people improve their businesses, is they realize, oh, you know what? Tree just told me something. I'm going to start asking people on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you want me to be on the militant guy? It'll help his business. He'll show up, because I actually ask people that when I'm working with somebody. I was like, how fast do you want me to pull this Band-Aid off? Because some people, like the pro athletes I work with, they take it like, it doesn't matter how hard I give it to them. They'll be like, yeah, you're right. Other people, they're like, oh, well, the way you said it kind of hurt my feelings, which is great. I'm really happy. I'm like, good. I'm glad you said that. But let's find a softer way to tell you. And that's why I was
Yeah.
saying earlier about that guy. I love him because he is really outing a lot of pastors and a lot of dirty religious people, but he's doing it with truth. But
Right.
he's gently handing it to people. So do you feel better?
I feel awesome. I'm giving a cyber hug right now.
I know, and it's so funny. Like, we must have some weird, telekinetic thing going on, because I swear to you, I was like, I bet anything Rita will call because she's so nice.
Yeah, I only called because I saw you. Like, I'm on the computer, and by the way, it's rare that I'm on the computer at this time. On the one with my yeah, you did get lucky, because this is the one with my Twitter account, yeah. And so you show up as online broadcasting,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, let's see what my Carmen is doing. And then I saw you.
You're my first call ever, so this is very exciting.
No way, am I really?
Yes, I've never done this show before. This is the first time I'm trying it.
Yeah. Oh, you got good luck.
Yeah, I think you should get like a plaque or something, and I should put it back there. Tree was the first call. Or maybe I'll just put a big tree back there. That'd be pretty.
Just DM me a nice gold star, and I'm like, I'm excited. I'm happy about that.
Oh my gosh, you made me laugh.
So if everybody who's listening, you should really.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. What is my?
No, I was gonna say you made me laugh.
I was gonna say everybody who's listening.
The last DMs that we had were so funny. I was like, she needs to look back and see what I really said. That was so funny. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for calling. I appreciate it so much.
I am so happy to call.
I appreciate it.
And those who are listening, you all should really should call in, because this is great and it's quick and to the point. But I really did call in to mess with you. That's all I did. But I was like, okay, I can talk about something real.
Yes.
Actually, it's helpful. So thank you, girl.
You're welcome, girl. Go teach him how to train you. See you later.
I will. Actually, I'm gonna call her right now and tell him he's back on the job. He's no longer fired.
But that you have to have a conversation with him, because you practice.
Oh yeah, we'll have a conversation.
Okay.
I know how to use my words. It's just that sometimes I'm just selective. I'm like, you're not what I want. You're fired. Or you're not what I want. I'm gone. You know,
it's not your boyfriend.
I'm such an easy person. I walk away. I'm a walk-awayer. Yeah. I'm like, watch my back as I walk. That's my MO, baby. You know what I'm saying? I have no problem.
What's that muscly back as she walks away?
I need to do that.
Thank you.
So since it affects her, I'm going to go ahead and talk to him, okay?
All right.
So thank you.
Good job. We'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, that was so exciting. I got a call from a nice friend. Okay, so back to what I was saying. I wanted to share this because I think it's really important. When you talk about the emotional strength or the spiritual strength in a relationship, I think it's the most important thing. And it almost never is equal. It's almost always that one person is more emotionally stable or more spiritually strong. And so what I think is the best thing to do, because people try to bag out too fast, I think the best thing to do is to let the person know, hey, I'm noticing that I'm in a place that you're not. So for instance, this girl who's got the drinking, mean, weasel boyfriend, I really like you in all other cases because you don't act like this when you're not drinking. But you obviously have stuff going on. So I'm going to hold this right here. I'm going to be the one with the strength and the power, but I'm not going to baby you. You're going to get to here. And if you don't get to here, I'm moving on. And especially with marriages, like I think people should stay in them unless like they're being absolutely abused in every way possible. Because a lot of times you can change how someone treats you when you stop being a victim. A lot of people get treated like prey because they act like a prey rather than like having strength and no longer being that person that somebody's going to go after, if that makes sense. And then back to Arnie, you said, one of the most important lessons I have learned is never to let someone else's anger control my anger. But my last therapist told me I was weak for letting them control me. And so I wouldn't have used the word weak if I was her. And like I was saying earlier, all anger is an indicator light. And so it's letting you know that it's indicating something, right? But you don't know. Only the person who's angry can know what that is. And so the key is always be in touch with your emotions, but don't let them control you. You have to decide, is this a time for a man's anger? Because if he's protecting a child, then yes. If he's blasting off on his wife for not cooking properly, then I would say your anger is maybe because you should take some cooking lessons, you know? And so it depends, but it is always telling you where your desire is at. Now you have to decide if your desire is in a healthy place or if it's in an unhealthy place. And so hopefully that helps you. I don't think it's weak. I think when it controls you, you just have indicators that you have more self work to do. You have to look in. You have to find out, why does that aggravate me? Why do I get so frustrated? And actually, that is one of the, where is that one? Where was there? I have notes here on all the different ones, but there was one person who wrote in about, oh, here it is. Thank you for offering to answer questions. I have a great boyfriend, except when he drives, he turns into a petty race car driver. I can't read the rest of that. What else does that say? Oh, screaming and something else to people. So here we go. One of the things that when I'm working with somebody, I always ask them what their driving style is. And you'd be like, okay, what does that have to do with anything? Well, everything corresponds to something, right? There's always patterns. And when somebody is a really peaceful, wonderful person, except for when they get in the car and then they start being petty and screaming and driving like a crazy person, they know something's off with their drive. Like literally, it is an actual vehicle that represents how they're driving, right? And so for whatever reason, he's frustrated. I will give you an example because this has happened with many clients and with myself. So I was always very like, I can't stand loser drivers. I like hate when there's the slow guy in the left-hand lane. I literally used to get mad at it, and my daughter hated it. My son totally understood it because he was just like me. And so when I'm working with somebody and that's one of their issues, and it's really quite often an issue. And it's a huge issue oftentimes for people who are narcissists or sociopaths or whatever. They are horrible on the road. But what happens is, for example, the one that came to me, and he, like this woman's boyfriend, he's a great guy. I mean, he is so cool. He's got his stuff together. But for some reason, he was finding himself really, really angry when he was in traffic. And what we figured out was that he had so much drive. He had so many desires for himself in his work world. And he was actually working with somebody who was very controlling, and they were, you know, down to the second were you on time, and he's really good at what he does, and he felt like they should be more flexible. And so over time, we got to figure out that he just had an entrepreneur spirit inside of him, and he should be running his own business. And so he started his own business, like literally just jumped. And what was so great is showed in his driving. He became more calm in his driving. Now it helps when you have somebody like me going like, do you see the association? Do you see why you're struggling with and having a hard time with you're so frustrated? And it's because, you know, inside there's more. And so anytime somebody's kind of really feeling like, oh, I'm so frustrated, I just know they're ready for an expansion, because you hit like the end of the wall of like this egg, and then it's like the firmament, and like you can't get through, but you shift something, and then you go into this place that is expansion. But the problem is it's all new, so it's very uncomfortable. People will stay in that space for so long, far too long, and your drive is telling you, there's more there. Your desire is telling you there's more there. I want more from life, but you're not taking the jump because everything in the next circle is unknown. Well, I shouldn't say everything, but often a lot of it is completely new. Like even tonight, I didn't really know what the heck I was doing with a call-in show. As a matter of fact, I've only gotten one call, and it was a pity call from my friend, who is just lovely, and I love her. But sometimes it doesn't go the way you think it's going to go, and you just kind of flow with it. You just go with it. And so, long story short, the drive is a thing. And it's evident not just in driving. You can kind of see people's driving and how they speak. You know, somebody that's real chill like this. I mean, sometimes that is a representation of who they are. And not always, it doesn't always correspond the way you think it does. You know, so you can't necessarily judge people, but there is a correspondence, because I know people who talk like that who are just very controlling. And so really they're kind of a trick because they have to be the boss of everything, but they talk real slow and real quiet, because what they're doing is they're assessing every little reaction you have. So it does take practice to get good at that. And then let's see. May programmed his brain. Well, that's really true too. I went through a narcissistic relationship. 1 out of 20 people is a narcissist. It's the last statistic that I heard. So yes, we're all having to deal with these people and learning words like gray rock and flying monkeys and love bombing and all of these things. As a matter of fact, that was one of the messages that I got also. So let's see. I'm going to go from here. Don't forget, the phone number is right if you call. Let's all feel better when we finish here. Okay, so this one, I already did that. I'm going to throw that one away. Okay, so I'm dating a girl that can't make decisions, not even what to eat at dinner, and it is driving me crazy. So if you're married to this, it's a little bit more difficult because you've already made the decision. If you're just dating her and it's not like they're not indicating that it's a relationship, then you do have a clean exit. But I will say that when you have somebody who can't make decisions, sometimes they have some sort of trauma in their past where they haven't been able to make decisions. And so that pathway's been like, they just don't have it. But if you start like helping them practice, if this is somebody you're really crazy about and you want her to be the one because she's great, except for she doesn't make decisions, you can start forcing it. You can start saying, hey, we're going to go to a movie, but it's going to be your pick. So it's something super simple. And it might even be a movie you hate, but you're going to have to deal with it because you want to help her build a neural pathway. You want to help her get to that place where she can make these decisions. And this is where I was talking about earlier, where, you know, the stronger person, you have the choice, like Tree was saying, to just get lost if somebody's not up to par with you. But it's always pretty much going to be one or the other is going to be stronger. And so sometimes it's good to just pour into somebody, especially somebody that's fertile ground, you know, like the Bible says, you know, if somebody's really got beautiful, you know, they've got the terrain is great and the water is great and the sunshine's great, then it's definitely worth helping them get to that point. I also think it's a little bit better that it's a girl. Of course, I'm old fashioned and more traditional. So I think it's okay for women to defer decisions, but it would scare me because you have to, as somebody that's getting married, and having children, if that's a choice, you're going to have to get to a place where you feel safe that she's going to make good decisions for your children. You know, I've seen so many times where, especially rich guys, super wealthy guys, for some reason, are very attracted to princesses, or at least they think they are until they marry them. And then they don't know what to do with them because they literally, you know, have a nanny and they don't take care of their kids, and they leave all over the house because the cleaning people get it. And it becomes kind of a nightmare. And so, you know, having somebody that has the decision-making abilities and also the ability to take charge of something. Like, guys, you don't want a princess. Like, they're cute and pretty and everything, but they don't have a thing going on. And trust me, that is one big disaster waiting to happen. It's typically going to bring her into anxiety or depression. And you don't want to do that to somebody. You want to be able to if it's someone you love and it's beautiful and she's got all the things, really encourage her to have her own well-rounded abilities. One of the things that you know, people always talk about the law of attraction, and there's so many more laws that no one talks about. And, you know, one of them is the law of gender, and it's not about your sexual gender. It's about traits that are typically female or typically male or naturally so. And when somebody's very well-rounded and they have, you know, the ability to communicate, which is considered female, and they have the ability to network, which is considered female, but they also have an incredible drive and they have focus and they can, you know, stuff and they take action, then you've got somebody that's super well-rounded. And I think that when you're deciding to date somebody, you've got, like, especially, you have to look at why you want to do it. So some people want to do it because they want to get married. And if that's the case, then somebody who is the most well-rounded is going to benefit you the most. You'll have less, you'll have to carry. That whole opposite attracts. Yes, they do. They absolutely do. Like a magnet. However, the couples that I see that are the most successful over a long period of time are the ones that have so much in common. Like they just both like it clean. They're both work out, and it just makes for a smoother, more well-rounded situation, I guess. But all things work. Trust me, I've seen the other worked as well. What do you think of a guy who hardly wants to talk? That's a great question. So I think he needs to find a chatty Cathy if that's the way he is. I wouldn't judge somebody because they don't want to talk. There are actual introverts that are so powerful. They were meant to build software or to write incredible books, or you know, they're just inspired naturally. And so it would depend on how comfortable or uncomfortable I am with it. Teresa, if you have more info about it, like, that would help. As far as, like, that's such a basic question, which I like, but if I had a little bit more, it might help. And so I don't know if you like it, if you don't like it. I do think it's more difficult when there's two people that don't. But then again, I know people who literally get along fabulously. They both get quiet and they get along great. And so there's no rules, guys. There's no rules. The key is to keep striving to upcycle your emotional life, your spiritual life, because going back to, you know, the sovereignty or the gender traits, you know, the more you have a whole of who you are, the easier it is to make some of the biggest decisions of your life. One of those decisions is, if you want to get married, who to marry. And I'm telling you, it is one of the most important decisions ever. Don't make it swiftly like I did. Second, where you're gonna live, what you're gonna do, right? Because those are kind of connected. But third, and one that I think is really passed over a lot, is the spiritual aspect and the religious aspect of a person. I would really try to match up with somebody who is seeking whatever it is. I don't judge people. Like, I think that truth, if someone's seeking it, they will find it. And I know that there's a lot of people that have taken weird, really weird routes to get to incredible truths and very powerful lives. So, you know, there's that. All right, let's see. Teresa, I'm a chatty Cathy. We're going to end up getting married. Okay, well, see, that's a good match. And that's an opposite that I don't think is bad unless Teresa, he complains to you about it and says, you know, I can only handle getting so many words per day. I need my quiet time. And in that case, then that's what your girlfriends are for. You know, that's when you talk to your friends and you tell them all the stuff. That works well. Okay, and so let's go to the next one that I had here. I was hoping to get through all of them before I bolted, and we've got about 13 minutes. I wanted to keep it short. Let's see. Oh no, that one. All right. I recently had a relapse into anxiety because of my boyfriend. He seems to be becoming more and more of a word. Please help. And so, okay, this is awesome. I don't know this person, but I will say that just from reading how you blamed your relapse into anxiety on your boyfriend, that you still have some work to do. Your relapse is you maybe allowing your boyfriend to be an a-hole, and that you like the drama. I don't know, you might not like the drama. You might actually sincerely be anxious, but you're allowing him to behave that way, or you wouldn't have the relapse. Because as soon as it began, you would put the boundary down. And if you put the boundary down, then you're not going to have an asshole, because you won't be there. You know, somebody cannot be a jerk to you if they're not in the same room. And I think that's really the best way to train humans, is to ostracize them. And I don't mean like forever, but you know, to let somebody know this is a line, you know that it's wrong, and I'm not doing it again. I also want to go to what if you're the type of person that says, oh, that gives me anxiety. Oh, that gives me anxiety. Oh, everything that you do that I don't want you to do gives me anxiety. And that's absolutely, completely something that I would say more women do, and they do it to manipulate. They want to be in control, so they use their anxiety as a way to control you. Now, I'm not talking about legit, like, you know, medical, or, you know, somebody that has a health issue with a mental health issue with anxiety. I'm talking about somebody just flippantly throwing it out there. And disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. This is all for entertainment purposes. This is just us hanging out. This is us chatting. I'm not a minister, and I'm not a therapist. But I do recognize when people are using things to control others. And I think it's one of the meanest. I think being openly mean and rude, like your boyfriend may be doing, is more appropriate than somebody who is using words like anxiety to manipulate somebody. And you know when you're using it, and you know when you really have it. I've had anxiety, and I got through as fast as I could. As soon as I realized what it was, I realized I had work to do. And I stopped having caffeine. I started working out every day. I stopped hanging around people that made me tense. I literally got rid of it in about 8 weeks. And I was in the hospital because I thought I was having a heart attack, because my heart was like I forget how many beats per minute, but it was insane. And so anyway, just be careful you're not being manipulative, but also to the guys out there, when you know that it's being used for someone else's convenience, you need to have your boundary too, because that's unfair. And you'll know if somebody has real anxiety. I mean, it's intense. It's especially like when they start having panic attacks. When I had a panic attack, oh my God, it was horrible. And now that I look back, I think that I was in the presence of darkness. And I think that's what happens. And whenever I'm working with somebody that has had it, I always ask them, is it you that's anxious? Is it the environment you're in that makes you feel anxious? Is it the people you're around? Because I think a lot of times people aren't actually anxious. They're in very threatening situations that they probably shouldn't be in. Maybe it's their soul telling them, I don't know. I do think that you have to look at not just you, but what you're around that could be exacerbating it. All right, so what's the next one? All right, I just got divorced after 12 years. I can't believe no one's calling. This is so crazy. All right, I just got divorced after 12 years. He is a narcissist and very abusive. I feel lost as he has left me. I tried so hard to fix and to please him. His family doesn't see that side of him and they blame me. I'm lonely, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, and can't start my life over again or don't want to. I do have my parents' support. Upcycle this. That's awesome. Yes, upcycling it is a great idea. And so let's start at the beginning. You are already divorced, so we can't say, oh, try to work it out. There's a lot of people that call people narcissists when they haven't actually been diagnosed, but people throw the word around. And so it's hard, like anxiety. I don't know if this is somebody that's been diagnosed with it or not. But here's the thing that I would say: after a divorce, you have gotten to such a low space that everything has fallen apart, basically, because that is what happens. And the good news is you can't go any further down. Well, I guess you can, but I suggest you don't. And the best way to come back from anything like that is to realize, one, your part in it. So to realize, okay, this was me allowing that person to behave like that. And not only that, I tried to fix him and I tried to please him, even though he was acting like that. And so you're putting yourself in a position to be further abused. And it's not clear here, like how he abused you, because there's financial abuse, there's social abuse, there's physical abuse, there's emotional, spiritual abuse. I mean, people use religion against people. It's insane. And so you have to look at your part in it. And it's the black pill. I call it the bitter pill, because that's the part that I didn't want to admit after I was divorced. And so if you can get to a point where you can go, okay, I definitely had a part in it, and I acted like a victim. What was the payoff for me doing that? So you learn that. But then you also have to look at, typically, if it's a narcissist, then you've got like this whole codependency thing going. And there's this like dance that you guys have, and you don't want to keep doing that in your life. You want to clear that. And the great news is, typically the person that's not the narcissist, the codependent, they can heal. They can heal pretty quickly too, very quickly, actually. The narcissist, on the other hand, statistically has like this horrible chance of becoming whole again. And so I would say the greatest thing you could do is radical, like intense self-care. And so mark off your calendar and make yourself amazing food, really healthy, good food. And if you have a way to get to a spa or a sauna or, a steam or whatever, great. If you don't, then take incredible baths and really just take care of you. Read uplifting books, watch uplifting movies, and just keep working until you finally feel that there's a light. And then when you see the light, you grab it and you go with it, wherever your soul's wanting you to go. But as you cater to you, you begin to learn how you should be treated because you're spoiling yourself. And you now go, oh, this is the way it's supposed to be. I'm supposed to feel this good. And it will take a little bit longer for some people. Other people are strong, like Tree, who called in earlier. She's ready to take it and get things done. Other people are very hurt and damaged and very fragile. And so if you are that, then you have to be even more tender with yourself. You have to literally lavish in grace. This is a biblical concept. To roll around in it like a pin, just try to enjoy every little thing. And I would say nature is huge. Grounding would be huge. Having the least amount of blue light on you as you can have, and really begin to heal yourself. Begin to learn how to say no. That was a huge one for me. I used to call it my bat cave because people, when I started saying no, were so unused to me saying no that they would be hurt if I would say no. And so I finally just started saying, instead of, oh, I can't go, or I don't want to, or it's not a good weekend, I would just say, I'm going to be in my bat cave this weekend. And nobody questions the bat cave. The bat cave lets an automatic pass from every single person I ever said it to. And it gave me a place to do what I call productive isolation. And productive isolation is really important. And that's what you have to do. You're going to have to not isolate yourself to be away from people, but isolate yourself so that you can start understanding yourself, because you're so used to doing what somebody else wants you to do, to the point that, actually, former people who are out of relationships with narcissists, I think would be like the most amazing people to work with, because they're the kind of person that can literally do two people's jobs. They're very used to handling the emotional life and that's actually probably why you're exhausted and depressed and anxious, because you were carrying someone else's emotional baggage, but you didn't know you were carrying it. And so for you to realize how you actually are, you're going to have fun once you get there. I feel very good about it, and I hope this helped you. Okay, so anyone else have any questions on the chat? No, we have way more people in Twitter, and I don't know how to see anything in Twitter. So I'll have to learn that. Sorry, guys. And then Teresa said, yes, I was working on my side of the marriage, but it wasn't working on his side. I left him 3 times. The 4th time I said, I'm done. Well, see, that's what happens sometimes. I never get, like I always tell people, like, if I were you, I wouldn't go back. Never go back. Never go back. But it is the best way to finally get it finished, is to keep going back to a bad relationship. You will eventually come out of it. I just hope sooner than later. I'm not for anyone going back to former relationships. Unless it was like, you're 60 and it's someone from high school or something, like that would be different. Isolation, negative spiritual energies. Exactly. That is exactly what it is. And when I say productive isolation, like I actually mean like get a hobby, go on nature walks, like ask a friend to go hike, do whatever you can to get yourself in really good energies. And it's a thing, man. I'm telling you, you can start really, really low and realize the bondage that you were in with someone, and you're already better off because you're not in his bondage anymore. Now you're just in practice bondage, like the elephant that's on the peg and it can't get off the darn peg. And so anyway, we made it an hour. Thank you. I got one phone call. Maybe next time we'll get more. I'm hopeful. But I don't mind doing the questions like this either. Oh, I do have one more that I did want to do. I forgot there's one more. So let me do that and we'll go over just a little bit. Thank you for this opportunity. My boyfriend tells his friends everything when we argue. How can I stop this? I hate it. Fuming while I write this. Well, the best way is to just behave better. No, I'm kidding. So I mixed this one because if your boyfriend's loose mouthed because he is coping and he actually really needs help, I do think it's important to have friends. Like I think it was one of the mistakes that I made is I never talked to anyone. I was such a vault with my own life. I never talked to even my best friends about, what I was going through. So it was shocking to her when I told her I was getting divorced. So there's a fine line, just like all of it, right? There's a spectrum. And the spectrum is he a good person? And if it helps him cope and it's not the worst thing in the world that you did, that he's sharing with people, or if he's not humiliating you through this process, then that's different than somebody that just needs to tell his friends, like, what's going on? Like, this is what's happening. I don't know what to do. And it is, I really do think that some of it will depend on what kind of friends he has. If they're like, oh, things are going bad, let's go to the strip club. Like, it might not be what you're looking for. But if he's got some friends that are married and have children and, like they're a good person and they have good jobs, then I would say that might be healthy. I think we all need some time. And I wonder, Arnie, too, why people aren't calling in. But like we have literally, according to my live, like 552 people total. I guess most of those are coming from Twitter. Thanks for coming, y'all. Please send me on this YouTube chat or in the comments any questions for next time, because I am going to do this regularly. Whether people call or not. And then also you can send them into I am going to just leave my DMs open on Twitter because I haven't had any weirdos. If I start having weirdos, I'll get rid of it. But thank you everybody for coming. And maybe next time you guys can, between now and next week, if you come back, you can write down a really good question and call in, and you can use an anonymous voice. I normally won't recognize people's voice, but Tree of Logic has such a distinct voice. I knew immediately it was her. Plus, I don't know why I thought she would call in. That's so crazy. I was right. She's such a nice person. All right, everybody. I hope you all have a great evening, and please feel free to send me any messages for next week. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Arnie. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you sometime. I'm not going to do it on a regular day. Just going to be whenever I'm ready. I'll talk to you later. Bye.